How many have you forgiven today? Chapter 17, When All is Lost.
Twilight!
Cadence is running after Twilight after she bolted out of the restaurant. She has no idea what happened to her back there, but whatever it wasn't pleasant. Cadence saw a side of Twilight she's never seen before. Sure, she was obsessive as a filly, and always shown great interest in things she didn't know, but this was on an entirely different level. It was as if something was physically forcing her to act, as if it were an instinct. That matters little to Cadence right now. She just wants to make sure Twilight is okay. But Twilight doesn't know what to say to Cadence. She doesn't even understand it herself. She almost has an uncontrollable need to learn about Anon. There's something about him that she can't stop herself from reacting to. He's a well of untapped knowledge the likes Equestria has never seen, and yet she cannot know it. Anon barely even knows it himself, and that makes it all the more unbearable. Whenever she's around him, she gets this craving. To learn. To know. He's so different from everything she knows, and yet he functions. Just the thought of him alone makes that feeling deep within her rise. She buries it as best as she can, but it always comes back. Twilight's legs get tired and she stops running. She looks up to see that she's at the park. She used to come here with her parents a lot when she was a filly. It feels like it's been so long since she's been normal. She wonders what it would have been like for her if she never decided to pursue magic. Was there a chance that Anon and her could have been friends? She closes her eyes tightly as tears start to roll down her cheeks.
Twilight!
Cadence is standing behind Twilight as she cries.
Twilight, what's going on? I don't know.
Twilight breaks down.
I can't stop thinking about him. He haunts my dreams when I'm asleep and is always on my mind when I'm awake. I try every waking moment to find a way to make him forgive me, but every step I think is one step forward ends up being 2 steps back. Why? Why are you pushing yourself so far to be forgiven?
Cadence asks, confused. Twilight looks at Cadence briefly just before she looks off into the park. An old memory of her playing by herself. All the other fillies and colts ignoring her, treating her like an outcast. She takes in a long breath and then lets out a sad sigh.
When I was the filly, I knew no wrong. I thought I was fine when I was alone. I spent my life on a shelf, learning all but myself. When I was a filly, I knew no wrong.
Her memories rapidly shift to when Anon first came to her home. She remembers how things used to be before they got bad.
He was all alone, scared of the world. I took him in and gave him my best. We talked all night and helped with the stress. I felt I could call him my friend. But something happened. One I can't explain. He was all alone, scared of the world.
She winces as that day fills her mind, the emotions of it all taking hold as she belts out a requiem of sorrow.
I took everything from him. His humanity. I stripped his sanity and made him afraid. So how can I ask for forgiveness with all that I've done? I deserve all that comes and all that's right. For what I did cannot contest all the pain laid on my chest. Strip me bare for what I've done. I'll take it all until I'm gone.
Twilight finally calms down a bit as everything comes together.
When I was the filly, I knew no wrong. Strip me bare for all that I've done until I'm gone.
Once the last note rings out, Twilight lets out an exhausted sigh as her last tear hits the dirt. Cadence can only stand there with wide eyes after having heard what Twilight said. Everything she spoke of is true. And yet Cadence can't accept this. This is too much for one pony to take. She can't allow Twilight to feel like this. She needs to know that her pain will only make this all the more difficult for her.
Twilight, you can't keep putting the world on your shoulders. You need to take a break and learn to come to terms with what you've done. How can you expect others to forgive you when you cannot even forgive yourself?
There's a long, eerie silence that fills the air before Twilight speaks.
Cadence, I don't think I want to be forgiven. What?
Twilight looks up at Cadence. Her expression is blank and her eyes show defeat.
I deserve this. After everything I've done, there's no forgiveness for some pony like me. How can you say I need to go back to the library? Thanks for spending time with me.
Cadence is left there mid-sentence as Twilight walks back towards Canterlot Castle. This is serious. This isn't just about forgiveness anymore. Twilight is falling into a pit of despair that she cannot get out of. Cadence could see the hurt on her face as her own friends gave her that look of anger and disgust in the restaurant. She's all alone in the world right now, and it seems there's only one thing that can save her. Cadence briefly looks back towards the restaurant where Anon was. She has one day until she meets him at his party. Until then, she needs to figure out a way to convince him to at least hear out Twilight's plea. Otherwise, Cadence doesn't know what may happen to Twilight.
So, how does this work?
Maud asks Anon. Easy, just follow my lead. Anon and Maud are center stage. All eyes are on them as the judges sit at their table ready to spot any flaws. Then again, considering how different their dance is when compared to ponies, they're not really too sure what to judge their dance on. Still, Maud is on her hind legs so she can attempt to match Anon's height. Anon has one hand at the small of Maud's back while she has one hoof on his shoulder and the other in his hand. They're perfectly positioned for a simple dance. I hope you know how to waltz, Anon says. Maud nods.
I do. Pinky and I went to the same class.
Anon takes that as a measure of confidence as he takes his first step. Maud seems to follow what's happening as she takes her steps in kind. Thankfully, she wasn't bluffing. She's as graceful as Pinky is while dancing, which is odd because despite her rock-like personality, she's very fluid with every step she takes. Sure, her face is still barren, but Anon gets the feeling that she's having a great time. You know, I'm surprised you're this good at dancing, Anon mentions.
Considering how different you are to a pony, so am I.
Anon chuckles. I guess you're right. Do the pies have a natural talent to easily adapt? Maud nods.
The rock farm can be harsh, and learning to adapt is important.
There's the talk of a rock farm again. Pinky didn't give him much information on that, but he can assume it's a touchy subject for her. Yes, I hear about this rock farm from time to time, but Pinky never talks about it.
I'm not surprised. It's not a place for her. She's always been a social butterfly. As farms usually go, there is not much around.
Anon dips Maud briefly before bringing her back up to his chest. Yeah, Pinky does like being social. I honestly feel bad that she likes hanging around me so much. You know, because I actually don't like being around ponies all too much.
I know how you feel, but when Pinky wants me to meet some pony, well, she's my sister.
I think I understand how you feel, Maud. I don't know. When it comes to Pinky, I can't tell her no. She really did a lot for me when I first came to Ponyville, and I can't thank her enough for that.
You're a nice guy,
Maud says. Many ponies would disagree.
That's because they never took the time to get to know you.
Anon falls silent at that. Nothing else really needs to be said as the music slowly dies down and their dance comes to an end. This was fun, Anon says.
Agreed.
Anon and Maud look over at the judges. They scored a 38 out of 50. They just look at each other and shrug. They weren't here to win anyway. They walk back over to Pinky that has her jaw on the floor.
Can you believe those ponies? Oh, how dare they give you such a low score?
Pinky looks towards the judges.
Hey, you ponies blind? They should have at least scored a 45!
Anon just shakes his head while the judges try their best to ignore Pinky. Before Pinky can say anything else, Maud places a hoof on her wither.
I had fun, Pinky. That's all that matters.
Pinky looks from Maud up to Anon. Yeah, it was fun. We never entered to one anyways, right? Anon adds.
I guess.
Pinky looks down. Anon looks over to a clock. It's starting to get late, but Anon has one last idea before calling it a night. How about I cook you ladies up some sweets? How does that sound? Maud notices a small sparkle in Pinky's eye.
Ooh, what are you planning to make, Nani?
Pinky disappears from where Maud was looking and into Anon's arms. She startled them both as Anon quickly grabs Pinky so she doesn't fall. Once he catches his breath, does he look at the pink mare in his arms. Maybe something new, he says. Come on, let's go. Anon looks down at Maud and gives a shrug. It seems Anon doesn't like seeing Pinky sad either. It puts Maud's heart at ease knowing there's someone out there that's looking after her sister, even if her sister is a bit weird. Anon walks into the store and sets Pinky down. Alright, let's not get too crazy. Bonbon and Lyrae are probably trying to get some sleep. Both Pinky and Maud nod as he waves for them to follow. He leads them through the shop and into the kitchen in the back. Yet what he finds there isn't what he expected. Bonbon and Lyrae are here, stuffing their faces with various sweets. They look his way when they hear the door open, each showing a bit of shock at his entrance.
Anon?
Bonbon asks, past her full mouth. Anon closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and one step backwards to exit the kitchen. Once the kitchen doors close, does he exhale.
Anon is something...
Anon holds up his hand to stop Pinky. He waits a few moments and walks back into the kitchen. Bonbon and Lyrae are cleaned up now, but the place is still covered in various sweets. I've brought company, Anon says, and shows Pinky and Maud into the kitchen. Lyrae looks at Anon, the mares, how he's dressed, and then quickly back at Bonbon.
I thought you said Anon went to the castle!
Bonbon twiddles her hooves.
Well, no, I said he probably went to the castle.
Lyrae lets out a huff and pouts some. Anon just shakes his head as he looks at Bonbon. Care to explain this? Anon waves at the entirety of the kitchen. Bonbon chuckles.
Well, when Luna knew that you were gone, we thought eating some sweets would help.
Well, they're the owners too. It's not like they can't eat the products. Alright, just clean up this mess. I'm about to cook.
Is this something new?
Bonbon asks. Maybe. Anyways. Anon looks at Maud and Pinky and points to a small table in the kitchen. Get comfortable. They do so as he walks to one of the stoves and thinks over what he wants to make. So many things, but as Anon looks over at Pinky and Maud, he finds one thing that comes to mind. Rock candy. He's sure Maud would appreciate that. One thing that would be awesome is if he got the candy to crystallize in a bowl to make it look like a geode. I don't know how that would work, but that'd be cool. Anywho, let's get on to our super sweet donators.
Top donators: Cat-gjf, Sarcastic Brony, J10Men, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin, Rolan, Stewhex, Swordbrother, Mordred, Omicron, Lyrae, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Ridesoul, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi88, Chancellor Crust, Big Smoke 369, and many more awesome people. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.